pressing? It's recording. So again, the Midrash says, why did Hashem say it's not going to work? I don't know. Why did Hashem outright tell Moshe about Abeh? He didn't tell him about Abeh. Why specifically did this one, is it different? So the first question we ask is, why does Moshe write this one in the Remez? Why this specific Makkah? Right? Does it say, Leman tesapeh be'ozdei bincha? Right? Umay shena mish'ar makot. Why is this different than any of the other makot? Right? And also, if you keep reading the Midrash, he says, I'm going to bring the Abeh in your givul, but not the givul of Bnei Ham, which is next door neighbor of Mitzrayim. Right? This is all the Midrash. So on this it says, Ki kasher mishpatecha la'aretz, to say that what? That with the Makkah of Arbeh, you knew exactly the boundaries of Mitzrayim. You knew exactly through the Makkah of Arbeh. Why? Because Makkah of Arbeh, it drew the borders. Right, but the question: what are you talking about? But we didn't know this from others. We didn't know this from Dam Svadeh Kinim. Why are you telling me? There's other makot. Okay. Why Dafka you telling me about Kinim, about Arbeh? Right, the Yesh Lomad said Bishar makot. With the other makot, you couldn't really tell clearly where the givul of Mitzrayim was. Why? Because where we were in Goshen, and Goshen was on the outskirts. The Alpha Pishaya givul Mitzrayim, even though it was on givul Mitzrayim. Lo bawa makot. That even though we were in those makot, we never got any svadeh by us. We never got kinim. But the arbeh had kosher species, and Hashem wanted us to have a little bit. Faddal, eat something. So He gave us some. So bevadai, it even came to us in a small. By the way, who says it? The Ramban and the Rabbeinu Bachya says this. The Ramban and Rabbeinu Bachya both clearly say that you're able to that the arbeh came for Bnei Yisrael. We were able to eat. Because there was kosher things, but the other makot we didn't get to see. Okay, so therefore that's how we were able to tell the actual boundary, right? The givul Bnei Ham didn't come in even a little, not even one. So the arbeh in a bad way came on all Mitzrayim. The arbeh in a good way came on Bnei Yisrael. But after that boundary, it didn't go. Not even one went into Bnei Ham. So that's how we knew exactly where the borders of Mitzrayim were. And that's why the Midrash says that. But when Paro hears that Bnei Yisrael are going to get some arbeh, he goes, it's a siman ra for you. It's a siman ra, right? What does the pasuk say? It says, Re'u ki ra'a neged penechem. Look at the bear that you brought upon yourself. What does that mean, see the bear that you brought upon yourself? He never said that before. It says, Re'u ki makazo matchelet labu. That even, look, you see this makah is starting to even hit you guys. And the reason, ki ra'a neged penechem. Right? What does that mean? Kira'a neged penechem. When Moshe knew that Paro would say that something bad is going to happen if he finds out about the arbeh, that's why Moshe didn't want to tell him about the arbeh. That it was going to go in the land, go into the place of Bnei Yisrael. He wrote a beremez. Hashem wrote a beremez. Le'ulman tesapeh be'oznei bincha. Right? And what is he talking about? He's talking about Hashem's telling Moshe, you tell Bnei Yisrael the right way. But if you're going to tell Paro the right way, then he's going to say, he's not going to take it seriously. He's going to say it's also bad for you. We're going to see why in a minute.
Okay. So
if he finds out that Abeh is coming to the Bnei Yisrael, then he's going to say it's a problem. It's a problem for you, Bnei Yisrael. Like, you guys can't control your makot anymore. Things are getting out of hand. Why? How could that be? An amazing thing the Siftei Kohen writes. The Siftei Kohen writes that from the day that Paro's daughter, Hagar, you ready? Hagar became the Shifcha of Sarah. What does she say? She says, I'd rather be the Shifcha of Sarah than be the princess of Mitzrayim. Because of her zechut, Mitzrayim was blessed that Arbeh will never come. Okay? Miyom shenatan Paro bito Hagar shifchat Sarah, nitbarecha Mitzrayim be'arbeh shelo yavo shama. Ad kan leshoro. This is the Siftei Kohen. And you have an emes bedavar. Why? Because Hagar is the gematria of 208, which is the same gematria as the word arbeh. Hagar and arbeh have a connection to show you that because of Hagar, she was able to push out the arbeh from Mitzrayim. Now, so knowing this fact, you could have a question on Paro's logic. Why does it say Havanit Hakemalo? Right in the beginning, if you look in Shemot, right, everyone's coming to decide how are we going to get rid of Bnei Israel, right? Havanit Hakemah. Let's be smart about this. Why? If he knows already that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he says something, he does it, and his berachot come true, that his great-great-grandmother became a shifcha of Sarah, much better, than being a princess, and look that the beracha was given. And he knows also that Hashem gave Abraham a promise, right? That what that he knows that Hashem's word is going to happen. So why would he try to figure out a way to get around it? You understand? So again, why we have the first, we have the Siftei Kohen coming and bringing the fact that because of Haggad became the Shivcha of Sarah, all of Mitzrayim was blessed that locusts will never come there. And we have a Remez that Haggad and Abed is the same Gematria, 208. Right, but then we ask the question on Paro: why would he try to Lamanit Hakem Israel? Right, that in order that it shouldn't be many. We know he has a beracha. He also knows that whatever Hashem says goes. He knows it from his own past that there's no. I imagine, by the way, in the summertime, no mosquitoes. It's gorgeous. Imagine. In the morning you wake up, you clean. You're not bit. Right, that'd be amazing. But and imagine it's because of what your great grandmother did. So you know that from the source, it has clout, it has weight. So why would Paro try to outsmart God when he already knows the truth? Because he knows it from his own experience. So listen to this. Paro assumed the reason why Hashem's promise is contingent on what the Bnei Israel are going to do good. Hashem's going to get, he says, Bnei Yisrael's contingent, Hashem's promises are contingent if Bnei Yisrael do what they're supposed to do. But if they're bad, Hashem's not obliged anymore to fulfill his promises. And Bnei Yisrael, we knew, took away the Brit Milah. When all the Shevatim died, Yosef died, everybody died, took away the Brit Milah. Right? So, right. Which is the Berit of Abraham Avinu, by the way. Right? So now because of this, they're not ra'ui to get the Beracha of Hashem. Right, but the Goyim are different. Goyim, we know Shlomo HaMelech, when he built the Beit HaMikdash, prayed that when the Goyim come, no matter if they deserve it or not, give the Goyim what they pray for when they come. So they shouldn't say this building is fake. They're going to come and see all this amazingness. They have to walk out satiated. So Shlomo HaMelech prayed that if they built the Mikdash, Lenochri yiten lo kol ma sheshoel mitpalel, give everything. So he said that why? Because he wants to show that it doesn't matter. The Goyim, it's not contingent if you're good or not. But Bnei Yisrael, it is contingent. It is contingent. And now that he hears that Hakadosh Baruch Hu is now sending Arbeh, right, which is a siman that Hashem does not keep his promise, because he already said by Haggad that he's not going to do it. Now he's doing it, and not only that, it's starting to affect you. Today is good, tomorrow is going to be bad. Things don't, when people go off the derech, it doesn't happen usually, a quick left.
It's a process.
It's a process.
Right.
Even, by the way, God forbid, you talk people that do very heinous crimes. Right? If you look into the psychology of it, they don't do it, they don't wake up and, I want to go kill a bunch of people.
Not usually.
No, it's a process. It's a process. So Paro is saying, this must be the beginning of the process. That's what Paro is saying. Right? Even if you're going to be good, it's possible that Hashem is not going to fulfill His word. Right? Why? Because it could be that you're talui on the mazal. And the mazal right now is bad. Because what? Because you're slaves. So it's not that Hashem is 100% in control. Because maybe from now, maybe I would think that Hashem would fulfill His promise with people that do good. And I couldn't do anything about it. But now that I see that locust is back in Mitzrayim, I know that there's something that there's fine print somewhere. And now you can open up a can of worms to yourself. This is Paro's thinking. And through that same logic, HaKadosh Baruch Hu exactly switches it around. Right? Look inside. HaKadosh Baruch Hu adarabah mimakom sheba hilkao be'arbeh im ma'en ata l'shlech dami. So what it's saying. Before it's very interesting. If you look at the pasuk before it says Arbeh, it says if you're going to continue to withhold my people from going, if you're going to delay, then I'm going to bring Arbeh. Why? Because that means you're not worthy for the beracha that your great grandmother got. If you're going to mess around with my kids, okay, then you're not worthy. Right? That I gave to the Paro Rishon, the first Paro. Right? And it's it doesn't make sense that Hashem would give good benefit to people that are subjugating His firstborn shelo kedin. We know what it says in I don't know if it's in Yoma. I'm pretty sure it's in Yoma that why did Nebuchadnezzar get punished for destroying the Beit HaMikdash? Not because he destroyed the Beit HaMikdash, but because he raped and murdered people. Because Hashem never said anything about that. He just said burn a burnt building. That's what he told him to do. Right? So because that, so when it says when you're giving lahats to Bnei Israel, shelo kedin, lachen. Therefore, I'm going to bring you arbeh tomorrow, which is going to eat the rest of the crops that was survived. Ulfi shemaka zo hazad bo Hakadosh Baruch Hu, and because this makah, Hakadosh Baruch Hu comes back and he promises, right? Hazad and he goes back on the first promise that he gave to the first paro. Mishum hachi, therefore Moshe did not want to write it outright and say it outright, just beremez. And that's what it says, hit'alalti. Remember it says be'oznei bincha, right? U'bnei bincha et asher hit'alalti be'mitzrayim. The games that I played in Mitzrayim. What games? It's Hashem, it's God. What games? That I did because of this, what's going on the back end. I don't want to tell them. Because he's going to misconstrue the whole thing. So hit'alalti shasayino Derash sehok. Right, and I hit him with the same logic that he. Well, look what it says. Right, I hit him on his own logic. His own logic was that Hashem doesn't that Bnei Israel don't deserve the promise. So great, good. You also don't deserve the promise because you're subjugating Bnei Israel. Lok shelo kedim. Right. Ve'ototai asher samti bam. What does that mean? Ve'ototai asher samti bam. Yirmoz. It's hinting to the 2 times of this arbeh. What is this 2 times? The first time, right, Paro, because of Hagar, was able to not have locusts in all of Mitzrayim. What was the second time? When Moshe Rabbeinu himself, he goes outside and he prays. And till today, locust does not enter into Egypt. Wow. And I will tell you that my uncle Desi Sakkal, my father's brother, will testify, right? He grew up in Egypt, will testify that once a year, locusts, a swarm of locusts, giant swarm of locusts, enters Egypt at the shore and doesn't move. Till you can look it up online, Google it. Does not move. You see all, what's it called? Of 24 hours and then goes away. Swarm of locusts, 24 hours, hangs out by the shore.
Doesn't cross the border.
Doesn't cross the border.
Bounces.
And leaves.
Locust?
Egypt. Figure that one out. Right? And that's what Ramban brings. In the name of Rabbeinu Hananel, she'ahat tefilato shel Moshe, that after the tefillah Moshe, lo ba'od ha'arbeh leMitzrayim, v'im yavo, and if it does come, lo yazik. It won't go to pictures, by the way. Try to look at images, you'll see.
Locusts are swarming in record numbers in 2020.
Alright, we'll figure it out. It's there. But look at what's it called. Look at Egypt, you'll find it. So, but there's a question. Okay, so that's one part of the Derash. Now the second part is a little different. He says, why specifically by this makah does he say, Ki ani hirbati et libo? Ki ani hirbati et libo. Why with this, Ki ani I strengthened his heart. All the other makot it says, Vayahazek Hashem et leparo. This one is a little different word. Ki ani hirbati et libo. V'yesh lomad, with makat barad, right? What happened? The hita and the kusemet, right? The wheat and the spelt, right, were not hit. Why? Because they weren't ripened yet. They were low on the ground. Right? And the Yakut Shimoni says, but look what the Yakut Shimoni says. He says, Pilpeh pelaot, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that knocked all these things and not these 2 things. Right? And don't say it's because that they're small that they didn't get hit, because it also says, Ve'et kol esev hasadeh, that got hit. So all the grass also got hit. So even things under the hita and the spelt, right? What's it called? The kusemet, right? Didn't get hit because because it's low. That's not why. Because there was things that were even lower than that did get hit. Because it says kol esev hasadeh. So it says ele pelaim, wonders that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did with this makah. This is the Yakut Shimoni. And v'zohi sibat lefaroshi, and this is the reason that Paro is going to harden his heart, right? Because Hashem already said. Because how do we know? Even though you already said Hashem hasadik. Right, because by Barad he saw that it stopped midair. When Moshe prayed for it to stop, it didn't just go back down to the it stopped physically, midair stopped. Ve'amad be'avir, right? Like it says, Vaya Paro ki hadal amatar, right? So by the way, you should know that when I was learning Yomah, we mentioned Yomah. It says in the that other things fell with the man, not just bread. So there's different Tanaim saying different things. One of the Tanaim says jewelry. So I go like this to my Havrata, oh, come on, why do you gotta do that to me for? What jewelry now? My lipstick is come on, come on, whatever. So he's French, so he goes, what? And only bread could fall from the sky? Like, what, you believe bread, but you don't believe anything else? Well, that's the limit. So, just that's what we grew up with. So we grew up, okay, the barad fell. Now you can tell me that the barad is in midair. Okay, so that means now you learned something that you didn't know before. It stopped in midair. Okay, you talk about the makot. It says in the Zohar that when the barad came down, when all the makot happened, the ma'achim and shamayim that are in charge of all these things were going crazy. Who touched that bond? Who did this? What's going on? Well, how did that happen? Who said? Because Hashem was controlling everything. Dafka, boom, boom, boom. But not the malachim were doing it. He was doing it. So it's an amazing concept. So when Paro sees this, he finds a makom to say that Hashem cannot destroy everything. He can't destroy everything. Why? He's got to leave something. Because we know that Hashem tried to let the world be sustained on Deen, and it didn't work. Right? In Bereshit, right? So he said, no, we have to counter, we have to bring in the Hamim with it. That's why this world is a Hamim, the next world is Deen. That's why it's so important to be medakdek in your midot and in what you do. Even the good things, Mesilah Yesharim says, even the good things you should be, mishmesh and pishpesh. You should be looking, I went to shul today. Why did I go to shul? I did it to serve Hashem, or did I do it because I'll feel guilty if I don't go? Okay, so fine. So you're half. Okay, so you work on yourself. It's something you have a goal. Okay, but when Paro sees that that the world is not created in Deen, and he had to include it with Midat Rahamim, in order to fulfill what he says, Olam Chesed Yibaneh, right? That the world be sustained through Chesed, and it's not proper to only run the world B'Din Gamur. That's exactly why the Hita and the Kusemet were left, right? And he didn't attribute to the fact that it survived to the fact that it was a Nes and a Pele. He didn't. You understand? He found a different way that you could assume something different. You understand? He didn't assume that it was specifically for that it was Nes and Niflaot. Paro said, "Oh, Hashem has to do it that way." You with me?
Yeah. They stopped midair. That's what he was.
No, it was midair. Okay, we're gonna say that. Okay, Hashem Sadiq. That's gorgeous. That's all great. Okay, but when he sees that the Kusemet and the Hita were left over,
yeah.
And that means that the shock was over. The shock, or the honeymoon stage is over, and he sees that, oh, wait a minute, it's not that bad. Yeah, these fields and those fields are left over.
He wasn't giving any miracleness to their survival. Right.
He wasn't giving any miracle to the survival, assuming, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. How could it be? Oh, it must be that God can't destroy everything. Why? Because he knows that the world has to survive on Chesed. Uh-huh. Okay, so that's why he didn't attribute to what the Midrash is saying, is Nisim B'Niflaot, that Hashem got to choose what he hit and what he didn't hit, and don't think because it's low is the reason why he didn't hit. And that's the reason. But now you have the real question. The question is, how could you harden your heart? How could Hashem harden his heart? That's the big question, right? How could you give me free will if your heart is, where's the free will of Paro? Right? It's a big question. When Hashem sees, when Hashem tells Moshe, you want Moshe to go warn Paro that Arbe is coming, and he's going to eat, and the Arbe is going to eat everything that the Barad left over, right? The question is, why didn't the Barad destroy everything together in the first place? Right? And then you wouldn't need Arbe at all. You wouldn't need the locust. If Barad did the whole thing in the beginning, you wouldn't have to worry. So just do the whole thing in the beginning. And if you want to say it's because you need 10 makot, so give another one. What's the difference? Take out the cell phone towers. What's the difference? V'lachen he answers, she'asa ze hashiyur kedeh sheyeh siba sheyachbid paro et libo. Hashem deliberately limited the destruction of the barad in order that Paro could take the bait. He didn't harden his heart. He just set him up. It's different. Because you have the choice to decide, is this emet or not? And he chose to say that it wasn't. No, Hashem, he came up with his own reason why. And that's what is ki ani chivati le Paro. Not that I hardened his heart dafka. No, I limited the destruction of Barad in order to give him the out. Let's see where he goes. Like you put the candy and the money in front of the kid. You want to see which one he goes for. He has the choice, but he's going to go for the candy. But he has the choice. And if you want to say that's him, if you want to say that he hardened his heart, then why did he send them a warning? If you want to say that he really hardened his heart, davka, right, literally, then how could you, then why would he give him the warning? That's fake, because you know that he's not going to listen. His Paro was not in control; he wasn't able to do anything, and he wasn't able to control him. So why would he send the warning? And also, the first 5 makot. If the first 5 makot he hazik libo ba'atzmo, why would Hakadosh Baruch Hu now take away his bechira? The first 5 makot, Paro did it on his own. If Paro did it on his own, then why would Hashem now for the next 5 take away his free will? Okay, all of a sudden somebody who sins a lot, you're gonna tell me there's no turning back? That's a good question, right? Why he has no shot to come back? Big deal. So he messed up the first 5 times. The pasuk, what's the pasuk in Mishlei though? Sheva
Yipol Tzadik V'Kam.
Sheva. It starts with Sheva, no?
Yeah. Sheva Yipol
Sadiq V'Kam. Why is it called the Sadiq if he fell asleep? The guy committed, God forbid.
Because he got up?
Because he got up. He said, today's different. I'm not going to do it. I did think, right? But that's why it's still called the Sadiq. Because the guy gets up, right? Rocky. You don't remember Rocky? He says, it's not how hard you hit, it's how many times you could be hit. That's it. How many times you could take the hit. And you keep getting back up. That's what a Sadiq does. I don't like doing that, but it's just a solid
I
point.
must be so righteous.
Okay, no, I don't like that. Give you a call. So look, so that why would he take away the free will? Okay, and what's with the warning? It's only to make fun of him. And Asut Tamim Palo Hashem, right? And El Emunah Ben Abel. Hashem doesn't play these games. So what's going on? So what's the answer? So the Yeshomah that when did Hashem harden his heart? He hardened his heart after the Makkah was over. After each Makkah, that's when he hardened his heart, not before. So when Dam was over, then he hardened. Sfadiyah was over, then he hardened. Why? Because Hashem did not want him to let Bnei Yisrael go just because he wanted the Makkah to go away. He wanted, look what it says. He wanted Davka, look, this is crazy. Hakadosh Baruch Hu haya makpid sheyishalehem meyirato shel Hashem. He wanted to be, he was makpid that Paro was going to send him out of fear of God, that he couldn't do it, and not once you withstood the Makkah, it's not the time to say, okay, I'm going to let you go. It's got to be before the Makkah. It's got to be before the next one. Not, the inspiration is great, but then when you're out in the real world, where does that inspiration take you? So if he's inspired after the Makkah, it doesn't help. Hashem wants to show that he has to be inspired before the Makkah to let him go, right? Or kodem boa Makkah, before the Makkah comes, right? From the fear that he has of God, that he can do it, right? Then it's going to be known in the world that for the reason that the reason of Yirat Hashem is the reason he sent them out, which is exactly what he did at the end. We're all dead. Get them out of here, right? Before something else happens, not something already happened. All right, so then there's no problem to say that the time of the warning and the time of the Makkah, he was all on his own. The shoot beyado. But after the Makkah finished, then Hashem made his heart stronger, right? But that's not called taking away his free will. So it's after the Makkah, when Moshe comes to him and says, okay, let my people go. Okay, no. Okay, I'm coming for you. He leaves. Paro right then has free will. That's the time where he has to come and say, okay, call Paro up and say, all right, so call Moshe up, all right, I'm ready. Let them go. That's what he's done to do. So that's one way to show that he did it. Not that he hardened Paro's heart specifically, but that he left Barad. He limited the destruction of Barad in order to give an opening to Paro to say no. But Paro always had free will.
He strengthened his resolve to be able to do what he originally wanted to do. He strengthened Paro's heart to be able to let Paro follow through with no, I'm not letting you go. Like right. He was just,
and he didn't want him to let us go through self-interest.
Yeah. Now I'll let you go just so the Makkah will stop.
Right. That's not why. No, he wants Yirat Hashem. He wants it to be done because what the whole purpose was that the world will know. Remember, we were down and out for a while. 430 years, 210 years, 84, whichever one you want to say. Okay, we were the Hashem's name was not really known that well in the world at that time. But think about it. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, great. Yosef, great. Then after that, it just became what's it called? Not a thought. What's those words? Like an old wives' tale. Right. Like old wives' tale. Oh, they always said these guys. But there was no proof, no nothing. When the world power now releases the one that had the old wives' tale, right? All of a sudden it becomes real again. It becomes back on the surface, and it only can be done through Yirat Hashem. So that's why Paro, it had to be done before the specific Makkah. And there's another reason. We're going to end with this. There's one more reason. There's one more way you can look at it. If you want to think that Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe, Hashem tells Moshe, don't ponder or wonder how is it possible that Paro was able to handle these Makot and Isurim, because I'm giving him the strength to do it. Like it says in the Gemara in Sanhedrin, Hashem gives more strength to the Reshaim and Geinam in order for them to withstand their punishment. Because if you just stam the way you are, you'd melt, let's say, whatever it was. Hashem gives them the strength, they're able to handle it. Right? And like it says in the Midrash, that the first 5 Makot, it says Vayahazek le Paro. Right? And the last 5, it says Vayahazek Hashem le Paro. Why? Because Hashem made his heart stronger and his will strong in order to be able to sustain and to be able to handle the last 5. Right? Because you can't look at it at face value. Because if you want to look at it just that Hashem hardened his heart, it doesn't make sense. Hashem is not two-faced. You can't do that. Right? How can you say, why would he send a message of Shalach Adami ve'Abduni if he knows there's no shot impossible that he's actually going to let him go? It doesn't make sense, which means what? So the answer is that he gave him the resolve, the strength, the will to withstand these heavy makot, like Hashem does to the Reshaim and Geinam. Right? V'im haya yodeya shu lo yachol l'shalecham. Right? Then it doesn't make sense. So what do you have to say? You have to say that Hashem never, ever, ever took away Paro's free will from his heart. Ela, he always had a choice. And what it says, Vayahazek Hashem, it's explained that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hizek libo, strengthened his heart, not hardened his heart, strengthened his heart. What does it mean? That the first 5 makot were easy, and Paro didn't pay any attention to them. He wasn't very makpid on them, the first 5. He said, okay, we're going through a rough patch, we'll deal with it. The last 5 were much harder. And the Teva, Paro, never should have been able to withstand it.
Right.
Never should have been able to withstand it. So that's why it says, "Vayahazek Hashem et lev Paro," right? In order for him to be able to what is lisbol in English? What's the right word?
Withstand.
Withstand. You have another word?
Endure.
That's a better word. Endure. That's a much better word. Endure. To endure the makot. Ubazeh lo haya kol kach kashod be'einav, and that's why he gave him the extra strength, so it wouldn't seem so hard in his eye. But he was velo haya makpid aleh, and he wasn't makpid on the last 5 as he was with the first 5, because Hashem gave him the extra strength to endure the makot. But the free will was always his, so he always could have sent Bnei Israel out whenever he wanted to, and that's why the first 5 makot say, right, Vayahazek lev Paro, versus, which means that he did it on his own, versus Vayahazek Hashem et le Paro, right? Which means that Hashem hardened his heart, which means that he just gave him the power and the will to endure the last 5, not because he wanted to harden his heart specifically, but because he was no shot that he was able to handle the last 5 on his own, unless Hashem gave him extra power to handle it. And the will of Paro always landed. The will of Paro was always his. Was always his to be able to what's it called? To let out Bnei Israel. Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen. Amen.